Hello, everyone. Welcome to our next virtual networking event of Empower Africa. My name is Shai Bernstein. I'm VP of Biz Development and Partnerships in Empower Africa. Today's event is about driving innovation in Africa, and we have the honor to host Managing Director of Microsoft for Startups, Roberto Croci. As you can see, this is a virtual networking event. Some of you guys are new, some of you guys have been here before. So welcome, everyone. And just to explain a little bit about the virtual networking space, right? You can hop and double click to each chair, an empty chair, of course, in each table. So then you can continue meeting more and more people. And just be sure to turn on your cam and mic on the bottom side of the screen, just like Zoom or Teams. Before we pass on the stage to Roberto for his presentation, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, Empower Africa is a business community with a mission to drive investment, trade, and job creation in Africa. We believe in trade over aid, and that business is the best way to grow, build, and create sustainable and scalable solutions. We believe in bringing good people together and the power of synergy, and our goal is to create connections, optimize the communication, and maximize on the collaboration. The business community brings together SMEs, startups, entrepreneurs, investors, banks, PEs, VCs, family offices, governments, multinational enterprises, and so on to one place to enhance the communication and collaboration. I'd like to show you guys a very short video. It's a minute and 30 seconds that explains and shows the network. So here we go.
There is so much potential for a business to succeed in Africa. When looking to grow or enter into a new market, it's always more successful when you have the right partners and a supportive community. Empower Africa is a business community for qualified investors, businesses, governments, institutions, and nonprofits from around the world seeking to drive sustainable economic development in Africa. Those who become members of Empower Africa get access to our digital business platform, have opportunities to engage Empower Africa's members and partner organizations, and can attend exciting networking events. Meet with and learn from renowned speakers at one of our virtual networking events, where you can build business relationships with experts in your field and find new partners to offer your services to. Member companies can also have a booth on the conference floor and engage a vetted and quality community that would be interested in their products and services. For investors who are looking for deals or entrepreneurs who have exciting projects, becoming a member means you get deal flow or raise capital on the Empower Africa Business Network. This platform is a private business network with dedicated marketplaces and focused sector and country chat rooms to do business and stay connected from anywhere in the world. Become a member of Empower Africa today and drive business in Africa.
Okay, so that is a short video that explains more about the Empower Africa business community. And now, it is my honor to welcome Managing Director of Microsoft for Startups, Roberto Croci. Roberto has over 20 years of experience working for global technology corporations, including Google. He's passionate about innovation, startups, and people. And during his career, he has played a central role in building a bridge and that gap between corporates and startups, helping them develop real solutions that solve real problems. So Roberto, first of all, grazie for joining us today, and benvenuto.
Wow, fantastic. You're Italian, and you gave me some demonstration also before. And I was telling Shai before that, my second son is born in Dubai. And actually the nurses in the hospital were all from South Africa, so we have a connection there. And well, he is being raised in a British school, so his accent is totally British. So first, sometimes they ask me, is this your son? And second is when he speaks Italian, he speaks like Shai is speaking Italian, which is very fun.
Fantastic. Okay, so, and also, by the way, you should all know that Roberto just shared that this is his last event before he signs off and goes on vacation.
Oh, yeah.
So I said, the worst thing I want to do is stand between you and your vacation. But of course, as we were speaking with Ezzy before, it's great to go, with a blast and with making an impact. So fantastic. Okay, so
Absolutely.
Roberto, I'm going to give you now the stage for your presentation. If you guys all look on the right side of the screen, there's the chat box and there's a Q&A tab. So you guys could feel free to drop in questions there in the Q&A, and we'll try to answer them after the presentation, okay? So without further ado, Roberto, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Shai, and we have some good time together. So it's a chance for me to share a little bit what Microsoft mandate is in the region when it comes to startups, and how we are looking to empower the ecosystem of startups across Middle East and Africa. So which is a big focus for us. So, and I would start from something that relates to what the video that Shai shared spoke about, which is all about ecosystems, right? So, there was this research that Startup Genome did to identify what is the life cycle model of an ecosystem, and it's pretty interesting. Because you know, they're mentioning that startup ecosystems are sort of a new type of industry clusters, as you see here, with different stages from the activation, globalization, attraction, integration, and with different drivers that of course can be pulled on in order to make this ecosystem more a thriving ecosystem, where Shai and AZ represent a very thriving ecosystem like in Israel, but Africa has all the potential as well to become and to be a relevant startup ecosystem, right? So what are the drivers that are there is definitely what we see is that the size of the ecosystem is really important, but together with that is also the connectedness of the ecosystem. So how the ecosystem comes together both locally, but also globally. And this connectedness is very important because the research from Startup Genome shows that basically larger startup ecosystems achieve higher performance, first of all, and this is measured in terms of total ecosystem exit values that accelerate with the ecosystem size. So this is first of all a first evidence. The other thing that comes with a connected startup ecosystem is all about shaping policies, right? So whatever is needed to enable the different constituents of the ecosystem, and primarily the founders, to build solutions to the challenges that the ecosystem and the region is facing. But also, and this is quite interesting, is also how more locally connected startup ecosystems grow faster. And the data from this research pretty much show that ecosystems that are more or highly locally connected versus the ones that are have low local connectedness have 2 times revenue growth, and this is quite significant, right? So because this research is backed by data, and when we talk about connectedness, it's all about founders helping other founders, it's all about experts, investors helping founders, is the quality of the relationship between them. The other element is what is an enabling factor and the success factor to build an early stage startup ecosystem is definitely, we talked about the size, the growing the number of startups, but also then of course increasing the quality and increasing the availability of early stage funding. So these are all areas that are extremely important to focus on, and that's why looking at where we are, you know, geographically in the world, as Microsoft, we didn't want to have a one-size-fits-all approach where we have a global strategy that comes out of the US and we try just to fit, you know, something in it to execute on something that wouldn't have a real long-lasting impact on the continent and on the region that we are managing here. Because the opportunity here is huge if we look at the potential of how young population we have, how underserved the regions we have, and how technology can be an underlying layer to enable and empower more people to achieve more. And basically, it all starts from the top, right? So when I started at Microsoft, I was driven by the transformation model that Satya put in place 4 or 5 years ago when he moved to the CEO role within Microsoft, right? So, and the change that he started implementing within Microsoft, which is inspiring. But the secret sauce of it is that basically it forced the organization to search within itself first and understand what are the key assets that Microsoft has that can be extended to partners, to customers, to people, to individuals, right? So, and this is where it all started. And that's why we wanted to connect our vision and mission to Microsoft mission, right? So Microsoft mission is empowering every person and organization on the planet to achieve more. What we want to achieve with Microsoft for Startups is to empower every founder and startup in the Middle East and Africa to achieve more. And how we want to enable an ecosystem through technology, business opportunities, of course, focusing on startups and innovation, And the way we want to do it is to build a real connected ecosystem. And that's why it all resonates with what Shai showed in the video before, mentioning the different constituents, is our approach is for sure putting the founders at the center of what we do, but definitely trying to connect the dots and enable more collaboration across different ecosystem players that include the incubators, accelerators, the investors, family offices, and venture capital, our partners. I had some chats in some tables before, and there are some partners here attending the event from Microsoft, government and public sector, which is key in large part of this region. Our internal teams, of course, which represents the broader value we can unlock potentially for startups when they work with Microsoft, and also education. Start with skilling and education of people. So our vision is to build a connected ecosystem. And to boil it down then to what we really do for startups is we believe that startups need a couple of things on top of anything else to be successful. One is definitely access to technology. So if we work with startups that are trying to solve for real problems and are falling in love with the problems and are trying to tap into problems that probably have also an impact on our society, technology can be an enabler to build great products and products that can scale and can impact the life of millions of people. So as a technology provider, as a technology vendor, as a technology company, we have a mandate here to empower and enable founders, startups, and ecosystem to build on the technology. The other layer is access to customers. Because if it's true that the access to capital is also another key dimensions where founders need help with. But if you are not able to take your product to market, if you are not able to accelerate your sales growth at a stage that is critical in your journey, then it all gets complicated. So back to Satya's vision of searching within yourself, right? So to connect back to the roots and to the mission of the company. One of the big assets that Microsoft has as a company is its connection with corporates, with clients, with large enterprises. So this is where we believe we can play a key role, because we can definitely, on one hand, bring more innovation to these corporations that are, at a point where they're opening these agendas around digital transformation, about, disruption, about innovation, and so on and so forth. And we can bring them to big corporates, but we can do that by nurturing a community of startups, where by bringing the startups to the corporates, we can benefit the startups by accelerating their sales and their growth. So, and that's again along the lines of building this connected ecosystem. It's a sort of a win-win-win partnerships where we can empower corporates to be more agile, to be more innovative, and to evolve their business models. We can give more business to startups by creating these connections and by designing journeys where we can take startups from being market ready to be more enterprise ready. And of course, we will have more players building more on Microsoft technology, which is of course an incentive for the broader organization to support this vision and this plan. So again, the vision here is to build a connected ecosystem where we will have different resources available. So our job as a Microsoft for Startups team is to bring the best of Microsoft to startups and to the startup ecosystem, whether it's through our internal teams, whether it's through our product teams, whether it's through our partners, or through connections that we have across the ecosystem with accelerators, investors, and so on and so forth. But at the same time, our vision didn't stop to Microsoft for Startups per se. So we wanted to also design programs and initiatives that we think can add value on a regional from a regional point of view. That's why, for example, we started launching regional initiatives like Highway to 100 Unicorns and Growth X Accelerator, where we believe that, given the unique angle and focus on the local region, we can add a lot of value, because we are trying to tap and solve for challenges that are unique to this part of the world. So with Highway, for example, we launched a program where we are engaging with the ecosystem. We are bringing in the different constituents and ecosystem players together, and surfacing insights and call to actions around the startup ecosystem, while driving applications to our programs and selecting startups that can go either into Microsoft for Startups, the global program, or the Growth X Accelerator, which is a program we just launched. The first cohort will start end of August, where we got some corporate partners on board of the likes of Unilever, IKEA, Etihad, Accenture, and we have been defining specific challenges with them And we have been selecting and matching startups that will work then together with us and these corporate partners for 3 months on co-creation around the specific challenges with mentorship and industry expertise available throughout the program. So we are thinking also out of the box, right, to bring into the region programs that make sense. And we have other programs we are working on to tap more into youth and to enable youth with skills around leadership, entrepreneurship, and building tech startups, and from there build a funnel. So to try to tap the top of the funnel, but also social impact and impact-driven entrepreneurship. So the value of partnering with Microsoft again is what we can unlock for startups and the ecosystem is leveraging the worldwide scale of a global giant with access to markets in every single part of the world, and with access to probably the widest partner network and the partner ecosystem that Microsoft has built with a longer time. The technical expertise of industry teams, but also R&D centers that we have in different parts of the world, that we have in Africa, we have in Israel, we have in India, for example, close by, and there is a lot of expertise. For example, an example over anything else is in India, we developed this solution around FarmBit, which is a solution that is targeting agri-tech startups and agri-tech companies that are building their solution on the cloud, and they need to manage the data that they get from sensors, from IoT, from drones, for example, and have an environment connected to partners that provide additional data that can be leveraged to build the data and analytics on top. This is just an example, right? So we can unlock access to this expertise and add value to startups building in specific industries. On top of the customer support and the mentorship and access to corporates and investors that we can unlock together across the ecosystem. And the way we usually work with startups is through onboarding them into the technology, onboarding them into the Microsoft ecosystem. So both on the technical side, so building a solid product with architecture and scalability in mind, but also start understanding what the Microsoft ecosystem looks like and how we can enable more connections through Microsoft partners or internal industry teams. Then we will onboard startups onto a journey where we want to move them from being market ready to being enterprise ready. So it's all about go-to-market. It's all about empowering startups to understand how to tap into corporates. For example, if you're talking about B2B startups, how to tap into selling into corporates, navigate a corporate, and get into closed deals. And by doing that, we can enable then startups to get onto the Microsoft marketplace and becoming partners to Microsoft so that we can help startups to get initial traction, but also unlock more, because when startups become partner, we have sales incentives where the organization, the broader Microsoft organization, can take these startups to market if they become what we call co-sell ready, so they become partners to Microsoft, by tapping also into other geographies and other markets. On top of that, we've been investing into skilling. So before COVID, we launched in Abu Dhabi a Microsoft reactor. There are only 11 of these reactors globally. Before COVID, they all used to be physical spaces where we used to host hackathons, code labs, trainings, workshops. With COVID, the model for the time being turned all virtual. And actually, this has been a positive for our region, because the reactor in Abu Dhabi turned like a reactor for the whole Middle East and Africa region, where we have a lot of content, trainings, workshops that we are connecting the community with. And this is purely a skilling initiative. So this is completely free for the community. It's a community space. It's a meetup group, actually, where it's open to everyone, right? So it's a place where we want people to come and learn, but also connect, as for example, Empower Africa is doing, and building together on top of each other, not to reinvent the wheel. So, of course, the startups that will join our program will get some benefits when it comes to credits and licenses of Microsoft products, whether it's products related to development like GitHub, Productivity Suite, and on top of that, sales optimization. But of course, we also have support in terms of the technical part of it with architecture, cost optimization, integrations, and go-to-market and co-sell. So this is the core value proposition we can provide. And this is the journey that startups can expect, that we will embark them on, with building products and great solutions, publishing them, and going to market, so going to sell these solutions to their customers, and then graduate, which we call continuity, is basically how we can turn startups into partners that work with Microsoft in the long term. So this was just, to give you a brief idea of what we are doing. and what is our mandate. So definitely happy to leave some space for your questions. I couldn't see the chat meanwhile because I was full screen.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. I'll open it now. Roberto, thank you so much. That's fantastic. And I think before we move on to the Q&A, I think one of the most beautiful things that you guys are doing is really that the concept of not just utilizing all of Microsoft's know-how and resource and experience and team, right? But then also that you're looking at these startups that you're helping and you're helping them grow, and then connecting them with other multinational enterprises, which is not a small thing, because of course we know that there's such a huge gap usually, whether it's in the culture, whether it's in just the understanding of which Goliath of one of these Fortune 500 companies is the right fit for me and can help the product and help scale and so on. So fantastic.
Absolutely. And actually on this point, Shai, I believe that the hard job is not to find great startups. I believe in this forum today and in general, there are great ideas out there, great founders, right? And the hard job is neither to do the matching. The real hard job is to enable startups and corporates, for example, to co-create, to work together, right? Yeah. Because it's different cultures, different many things. So usually is where the whole thing gets stuck. So there are many details there to be aware of and to work through. So definitely this is one thing. The other thing is also to and this is one thing I've been really impressed when I moved to Microsoft is how Microsoft invested into building this partner network.
Right.
Which is we don't have the arrogance, let me say, we're Microsoft, we can do everything ourselves, or we know the way things should be done, but is we do mainly we operate mainly through partners. So we enable other players that of course can develop their service offerings and their business models on top of Microsoft technology, but we work with partners because of course partners have different expertise, they're more localized, there are different angles where there is added value. And Satya beautifully says in this statement, in this quote, he says, you don't join Microsoft to be cool, but to make others cool, which is exactly along the lines, through partners we can be a very successful company.
Love it. Really amazing. Okay, let's move on to some Q&A.
Sure.
So we have here a question that a lot of people voted for. How can African startups benefit from your programs, and how do they apply?
Absolutely. So look, African startups can definitely benefit from our program in the sense that the program is already available for African startups to join the program and get the benefits that I briefly shared in the presentation below, but I can share as well the relevant links, right? So there is a form we can share for startups to apply to the program. We are at a stage where our global team is rebuilding the global website. So probably right now, if you go through the global website, you might not be experiencing the best experience possible because they are building it. So there will be some announcements probably soon. But meanwhile, definitely we will be happy to share the link to the form to apply, and of course onboard the startups that meet our criteria and unlock the access to the benefits and work with the startups through our program.
Fantastic. And by the way, so for Joseph and for anyone else who's asking, you can send me the link and I'm happy to share it here. Or after we're done, you can also take the link and put it in the chat box over here, okay?
100%.
Wonderful. Okay, next question. Do you have specific industries that you partner with, or is it open to all? How can a startup apply to any of your program? So how it can apply, we spoke about the link. Yes, please.
Yes. So just to close on how they can apply is, yes, we have a link, which is the generic link for the Microsoft for Startups program. And for example, we just closed the applications, but we will have more cohorts going forward for GrowthX, for example, which is the program where we match with startups with corporates. We will have a specific link and a specific landing page, which I will definitely share as well in the follow-up. Specific industries, yes, for sure. So definitely this is, I mean, in principle, we work with any startups, right? So if we have startups that come from any single industry and they need to build on the cloud, for example, and they need to go to market, for sure. I mean, we onboard startups from across every industry. But for sure, depending on the region, And globally, we have a specific mandate on what are the top industries Microsoft is focusing on. And then depending on the region, we also have flexibility to focus on specific regions. To be very specific, for example, in the Middle East, in the UAE, just to take as an example, we have 2 global centers of excellence in AI for manufacturing and energy. It's big industries in Dubai, and definitely is where we have additional expertise we can unlock, for example. But top of mind, I would say healthcare and life sciences, retail, manufacturing, educations, and emerging technologies are all industries where we bet very big on. And definitely also financial services, fintech, and financial services in general. So these are top of mind. But for example, in our region, so Middle East, Africa, and India, we also work a lot on, for example, agri-tech, clean tech, and sustainability solutions, for example. So these are the top industries I would
Fantastic. Moving on to the next question: equity. When a startup joins your program, it becomes scalable, sustainable, right? What amount of equity ownership does Microsoft generally look for from an entrepreneur to work with this program?
Look, our model is pretty simple. So we don't take any equity and we don't have any fees. The only requirement, if you want to call it like that, for us, or if you want, is the only incentive for the broader Microsoft organization to allow us to do what we do, is for startups to either migrate their solution on Azure, or start building on Azure, or start building part of their solution on Azure, right? So because this is an incentive where, of course, Microsoft will be able to unlock more investments for us to do that. If you think about it, we can give credits, we can keep startups on credits, and we can nurture startups for a period of time that goes easily from 1 year to 2 years, right? Because we can extend the credits for a period of 2 years, like probably most of the cloud vendors. So we have a period of time where really we can focus on working with the startups to help them. And what we have been doing in the region is we have been designing an in-program experience, which, for example, we have been adding a mentorship program. So we have been recruiting mentors from within Microsoft globally and in the region, but also a network of mentors from the region outside of Microsoft. We have been adding in-program perks. And we love this because across these perks, you will find also startups that are offering services or products to other startups. So, for example, we have Tara.ai, for example. The founder, she's been studying at the University of Sharjah, and she's now building her startup in the United States. But she has built a product that is a modern version of Jira. So, for example, we made that as a non-mandatory part of our onboarding experience when startups join our program. So we love to include also startups that are offering solutions for other startups, because this is, again, the community aspect. And then we have third-party partners, Microsoft partners, that can offer services for marketplace publishing, for migrations, for technical onboarding, and so on and so forth. So all of these, again, no equity, no fees, startups that are willing to build with Microsoft technology, where it's not only Azure, there is also GitHub, there is also within Microsoft, other partners like LinkedIn, like Minecraft, like Studio Xbox, depending where you are, what is your solution about.
Right. Okay, fantastic. Let's see, we have time for another one or two more questions. What are the common relationship barriers between large multinationals and local businesses?
Beautiful question. Thank you, Kelsey, for asking. Look, there are many barriers across different dimensions, right? So one typical barrier is around procurement. So is around procurement. So that is how startups get to sell their solution to the corporate, right? So because it's not just I'm doing some PR as a corporate, I'm look innovative, I take some startups, I do some PRs, and then no, the thing is, we want startups that build POCs, that are paid POCs, and then build solutions that are either acquired or invested in, and so on and so forth. So procurement is one barrier. Access to data is another barrier that very often startups and founders don't think through ahead of time, because it's not just the startup working with the corporate, but maybe the corporate is a B2B2C model, right? So you need to sometimes make sure that you can access relevant data in order to build a specific solution. So this is another barrier. And another barrier is in terms of sponsorship. So how to build and secure a real sponsor within the corporate organization. So because you really need that to make sure that you have commitment and buy-in from the top.
Right.
Another barrier is on the legal side of things. So how to craft and draft a real agreement and contract that can, survive the initial phases where probably there is still a lot of uncertainty, where the customer or the corporate might not necessarily know what they really want, despite the nice titles.
Right.
So how to make it really concrete? And then, of course, is the building the commitment, right, which comes with the sponsorship, but is also building a sort of an ongoing relationship and rhythm of working together. Because, for example, I can tell you a story of one of the largest retailer conglomerates that we have in the region. They had very, very, very high commitment, from within
Right.
to launch their sort of initiatives to working with startups. But then the whole thing failed because basically the people that should have been supporting the startups from the corporate side were showing up probably once every 3 months. So there was no real follow through the process. There was no real process defined in terms of having the startups and the corporate working together, where corporates are stuck on a sort of processes that are very rigid. Startups are more agile. So how to build that sort of environment where they can really work together and the support that they need from the corporate side. So access to the resources that they need, access to the information that they need, access to the external partnership or data that they need, and so on and so forth.
Right. Fantastic. Fantastic. Victoria is asking, it sounds like you're more interested in tech startups. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Look, yes. Interested in tech startups. The technology element of it is where we can empower startups to build on a cloud solution or on technology that Microsoft can provide. So definitely, with the Microsoft hat on top. I mean, this is definitely we're focusing on startups that are tech startups that have a product, and this product usually is built on the cloud, so that we have additional value to unlock for these startups. That said, we are working with startups around impact-driven or social entrepreneurs building solutions. Again, we are trying to focus with solutions that are leveraging sort of technology as well, so product to face societal challenges and issues. So that angle is also very important for us, whether it's around accessibility or around sustainability, climate change, and so on and so forth. For example, we're working with a startup that is not pure software, it's hardware. So, and is helping people of determination, as they call them here in the UAE, or people with abilities to interact with devices and complete courses. So it's linked back to employability as well. So they develop this hardware that they develop by spending time with these people with disabilities and understand which colors, which shape, ergonomics, and so on and so forth, right? So, and of course, then with time, this startup started getting also the data of the usage, and they started building the analytics on top. So then they started having a component where, from a tech perspective, we could help more, right? So, but definitely, if there is a social angle as well, or impact-driven angle, it's something that is at our very heart. So we are happy to support.
Fantastic. Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much for all the questions, guys. We want to move on to some more networking time, okay? And so let me just see. Okay, one last question here from James Daniel. What stage does a startup, in other words, what stages do you invest in, right? Do they invest in pre-seed, seed, later stage, so on?
Yeah, look, so first of all, we don't invest into startups, right? So we as Microsoft for Startups, Microsoft has a venture arm called M12, which invests into startups with different angles, but a lot of times there is also a sort of an acquisition angle, so technologies that could be acquired by Microsoft, but not only. And usually the Series A sort of window with many other considerations. So this is one thing. We as Microsoft for Startups, we do not invest into startups. We don't take equity. Again, we don't apply any fee. The sweet spot, though, where we focus on with the programs, Microsoft for Startups is from a seed to Series A stage window. And with GrowthX is a pre-Series A to Series B window. So basically, we could say we focus generally speaking, from a seed to Series A, B window. We onboard startups in our program. As I told Africa, we're also looking into a program that we are finalizing to tap more into youth. And this is a program that basically aims to start even earlier on. So aims to start even at ideation stage, aims to start honestly with skilling for youth and then ideation stage to MVP. We are finalizing it because there are some complexity behind, because the scale we are thinking of across Middle East and Africa over a period of time of 5 to 6 years is quite significant. But we are almost there. So definitely, it's definitely something I would personally love to be able to get it done and make it happen, because this is where I believe we can have a huge impact in the long term across the region. Given how populations are young, how underserved are a lot of countries, and how we had some conversation in some tables before, how inspiring stories we have, and how we can enable talent across these countries to really take confidence and have those human-centered leadership values and get into entrepreneurship, even if you end up working in a corporate or so on and so forth. So definitely it's something we're investing on.
Wonderful. Roberto, grazie. Thank you so much. And we're going to, first of all, for those of you who are not yet members of the Pan Africa Business Network, I just put in the general chat a link to join, okay? Got much more amazing content, amazing events like this where you can meet other partners, investors, entrepreneurs, and so on who are doing business in Africa. And also, just so you know, next week, on Monday the 16th, we have our weekly virtual networking event. We're going to be hosting Daniel Abraham, who's the Executive Director of Volcani International Partnerships. For those of you who don't know, Volcani Institute is one of the world's leading R&D for agriculture and all the ag tech space. So highly recommend anybody who's interested in that space to join us. And on Wednesday the 18th, we have a series of Africa's emerging tech ecosystem with Zach George, managing partner at Launch Africa Ventures. So anyone has more questions or anything from the Empower Africa team, we're all here. Feel free to reach out. Roberto, thank you so much again for joining us. Enjoy your vacation. And stay safe and healthy.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me, Shai, and Ezi as well. It's been a great being part of the conversation. Thanks to everyone for the questions. If you have more questions and we didn't have the time to cover, feel free to look me up on LinkedIn. I will add on the chat now a couple of links, and definitely looking forward to stay in touch.
Fantastic, wonderful. And now we're going to go back to the tables and chairs for more networking time. All right. Stay safe and healthy, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.